സാറിനെ കാണുന്നുണ്ട്. സാറിന്റെ വീഡിയോ കിട്ടുന്നുണ്ട്, പക്ഷെ സാറിന്റെ മൈക്ക് എനേബിൾ അല്ല. സാറിന്റെ വീഡിയോ കാണുന്നുണ്ട്, എനിക്ക് സാറിന്റെ സൗണ്ട് എനേബിൾ ആയില്ല. ഇല്ല സാറേ, ആയിട്ടില്ല. സാറേ അത് വന്നപ്പോ ആ ലൈക്ക് ബട്ടൺ എന്നെ കൊടുത്തത്. ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത് സാറിന് ഇതിനകത്തൂടെ കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ? മൊബൈലിലല്ലാതെ സാറേ മൊബൈലിലൂടെ കേൾക്കുന്നുള്ളൂ. ഇല്ല സാറേ, ഇല്ല സിസ്റ്റത്തിലൂടെ കേൾക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല. സാറേ മ്യൂട്ടാണോ സാർ? അൺമ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്യും. ഇപ്പൊ ക്ലിയർ ആയി സാറേ. ഇപ്പൊ ക്ലിയർ ആയി. അപ്പാണ് സാറിനെ പ്രസന്റ് ആക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇനി സാറിന് സ്ക്രീൻ ഷെയർ ചെയ്താൽ മതി. അതുകൊണ്ട് അവിടെ നമ്മുടെ മൈക്ക്, ഫോണ്, വീഡിയോ അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് കിടക്കുന്ന അതിന് ആ ഒരു ബട്ടൺ ഉണ്ട്, അത് പ്രസ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് സാറിന്റെ സ്ക്രീൻ ഷെയർ ചെയ്താൽ മതി. യെസ്, ഷെയർ ആയി സാർ. ഷെയർ ആയിട്ടുണ്ട്, ക്ലിയർ ആണ്. അപ്പൊ സാർ ഒരു 5-10 മിനിറ്റ് നമ്മുടെ സ്നേഹിതൻ സാറിന് എത്തിയിട്ടില്ല, ഓൺ ദ വേ ആണ്. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ സാറിനെ പിൻ ചെയ്യാം.
എനിക്ക് എക്സാക്ട്ലി 10:55 തീർന്നേ.
ഓക്കെ, തീർക്കാം. നോ ഇഷ്യൂ. ഓക്കെ സാറേ.
അജയ് സാർ എത്തിയോ? വണ്ടി ഇവിടുന്ന് മാറ്റിയെടുക്കുന്ന ഒരു പരിപാടി ഇല്ലല്ലോ. ഹലോ, അല്ലെ എനിക്ക് 10:30 ഈ പ്രസന്റേഷനേ. ഇപ്പൊ ഈ ഓക്കെ, ഇത് അവിടുത്തെ ഇങ്ങോട്ട് തിരിച്ചും വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത്.
ഇതിന്റെ ഫ്രണ്ട് കണ്ടിടും, നമുക്ക് കഴിഞ്ഞെടുക്കാം. 2 രൂപ ഇവിടുത്തെ സ്ഥിര സ്റ്റാഫ്, നമുക്ക് പിന്നെ വണ്ടി കഴിഞ്ഞെടുക്കാം. ഞാൻ വേഗം എടുക്കട്ടെ.
പ്രസന്റേഷന്റെ പ്രിന്റ് ഔട്ട് എന്ത്? അല്ല അത് പിന്നെ ടോപ്പ് എനിക്ക് ഈ കോപ്പി വരും. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എന്തോന്നാണ്, നിങ്ങൾക്കൊരു ഒരു കാര്യം മനസ്സിലാവുന്നില്ലേ? ഞാനാകുമ്പോ അവിടെ നമുക്ക് അവിടെ സെക്രട്ടറിമാര് വണ്ടി വർക്ക് ചെയ്യും.
നമുക്ക് എടുത്ത് പോണോട്ടെ.
അജിത്തെ, ഞാനിപ്പോ ഇവിടെ വണ്ടി പാർക്ക് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുകയാണ്. എനിക്കിപ്പോ പ്രസന്റേഷൻ നടത്താൻ ഇനിയിപ്പോ അങ്ങോട്ടും ഇങ്ങോട്ടും മൂവ് ചെയ്യാനൊക്കെ വലിയ പാടാ. എന്റെ വണ്ടി ഇവിടെ പാർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന
ഫ്രണ്ടിൽ
ഓക്കെ സാർ, സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുന്നു സാറേ.
എന്തോ
സാർ എത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്, നമ്മൾ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യണേ.
പ്ലീസ് പ്ലീസ്. രാജീവ്
അല്ല സാർ, മുകളിൽ പോകാം സാർ, അവിടെ ഇരിക്കും. അവിടെ ഞാൻ പിന്നെ അറേഞ്ച് ചെയ്യാം സാർ. അവിടെ
അറേഞ്ച് ചെയ്ത ശേഷം നിന്ന് വന്ന് നടക്കും. ഇപ്പൊ ഞാൻ സെഷനിലാണ്. രാജീവ്, പിന്നെ പ്രയോജനമില്ല.
പിന്നെ ദീപിന്റെ. ഹലോ സാർ. ശിവൻകുട്ടി മിക്സ്.
ഓ ആയിക്കോട്ടെ. പവറൊന്നും കാണിക്കുന്നില്ല. അവസാനത്ത് പറഞ്ഞാൽ മതി, ഞാനിവിടെ ഉണ്ടെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞോ. ഞാനിവിടെ ഉണ്ട്. ആനന്ദ് പോരുമ്പോ എക്സ്റ്റൻഷൻ ബോർഡും കൂടെ എടുത്തോണ്ട് പോകണം. അതിനാണ് ആ കിറ്റും കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ഉള്ളത്. ഇതൊക്കെ മിനിസ്റ്റർ ഓഫീസിലൊക്കെ കൊണ്ടുവന്ന് ഇതൊക്കെ കണക്ട് ചെയ്താൽ നമ്മൾ പിന്നെ പോകുമ്പോ എടുത്തോണ്ട് പോകാറുണ്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ ഓർത്തോണ്ട്. ഇവിടെ നിന്നൊക്കെ പ്രിന്റ് എടുക്കണം ശരിയാണ്. അത് വേണ്ട, കുഴപ്പമില്ല.
സാറേ ഇതൊന്നും കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ അങ്ങോട്ട്?
എനിക്ക് കേൾക്കാം.
ഞാൻ പറയുന്നല്ല, അവിടെ ഡയസിൽ പറയുന്നത് കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ സാറ്?
അല്ല ഇപ്പൊ സംസാരിക്കുന്നത് കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ഇപ്പൊ സംസാരിക്കുന്നത് കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. കേൾക്കുന്നില്ല, കുഴപ്പമില്ല.
സാറെ കീനോട്ടിന് ഇത് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട് സാറ്, പറയാം.
Okay. So, good morning, everybody. I am Dr. P.V. Unnikishan, Member Secretary, Kerala Development Innovation Strategy Council. I am extremely happy to be invited for this important school being organized by the International Center for Free and Open Source in Kerala. And I would be talking to you basically. I understand that your topic is on tools relating to data analytics, and I would be talking to you on how to use data for better lives of the people all around. Let me go to the presentation straight away. Hope I am audible. The amount of data which has been created, received, and stored globally has been estimated in zettabytes. Zettabytes, you would appreciate that it is 10 to the power of 21. Now, actual figures of the estimate of the data consumed and stored is in 2017 is 26 zettabytes, and it is expected to increase to 181 zettabytes. This is a fairly huge amount of data that is being created world over. Now the question is that this is fine. This huge amount of data is being created, but do we have creative mechanisms for using this data for the benefit of everybody is one of the questions that would emerge. And this is precisely what I am trying to address as a part of my presentation. Innovations from creative new use of data could be actually the most life-changing event of this era. As you are aware, post 2015, we have moved into area of fourth industrial revolution, to the era of fourth industrial revolution. And it is the cyber technologies, the physical sciences, and life sciences together which have triggered this transition in humanity. Now, if we are in a position to use the huge fruits of genome sequencing, which is one of the most important massive applications of data applications which is available today, it would be possible for us to avoid a variety of genetic diseases and possibly a variety of diseases which would have good correlationship with genetic factors. But now, world over, the research on this, the tools and the systems for this have not really been established, even though the tools for genome sequencing and for processing of genome data are very much available. In Kerala, we have embarked upon a major program called Kerala Genome Data Center Project, which KDISC is initiating this year. It has been announced as a part of the budget, and we would be looking at genome data sequencing as a major area of activity. Now, data, using of data as a tool for social and economic outcome. When we look at this, the data processing and the data revolution could be seen as something which is similar to the general purpose technologies of the post-industrial revolution era, be it the steam engine which triggered the first industrial revolution, electricity which triggered the second industrial revolution, and the convergence of data and communication which triggered the third industrial revolution. Now, these general purpose technologies, the impact of these general purpose technologies was not seen, it was not automatic. The delay had been because people took some time for them to accept these, the significance of these general purpose technologies, and also the related systems also took some time to evolve. For instance, in the case of electricity, manufacturing systems using electricity could emerge only after a few decades after electricity was discovered. And therefore, the fruits of electricity application for societal development and economic development came a few years down the line. Similarly, now it is possible that data can create huge social and economic outcomes, but creating information in ways that generate insights that could improve lives would require substantive efforts. And this is precisely what we are discussing as a part of this paper. Data for public good. I mean, the question is that how can we trigger development, be it use of drinking water, be it handling sanitation, be it addressing poverty, be it providing safety for people, be it providing improved service delivery. How can data for public good, what are the challenges that we are facing in looking at data for public good? Let us take, there are a variety of governance channels, there are a variety of infrastructure challenges, there are a variety of ethical and legal issues which are yet to be sorted out. These are all issues which are in the offing, which we will have to overcome in the years to come. Now, let us look at COVID-19. This opened up huge possibilities for data analytics throughout the world. As of yesterday, 51.4 crore deaths have been caused by COVID, and 62.4 lakh cases are active cases are there globally. Sorry, there is a typo in my PPT. I'm sorry for that. It is 51.4 crore deaths have happened. So it's a massive killer world over. Huge big data analytic opportunities had emerged in terms of pre-symptomatic detection, in terms of detection of cases, detection and tracking, estimate of predictive risk scoring in a particular location based on spread of the epidemic, based on tracing of contacts, healthcare decision making to decide whether lockdowns have to be imposed in specific areas where quarantines have to be taken up, where the health staff requirements is met or new health staff has to be moved into. How can pharmaceutical support be provided? How effective sampling of patients for looking at specific sampling of patients can be carried out? How discovery and development of new products can be triggered by this, and what are the marketing insights that come up from the patterns that are emerging from the disease spread and treatment and things like that. So COVID-19 was a unique opportunity. Let us look at quickly two case studies of how COVID-19 was being used in two locations: Gambia in Africa with the support of the World Bank, and another location, Israel, how these technologies have been, how COVID-related situation has been handled. In Gambia, maps were created showing the boundaries of people across administrative boundaries. This could assess effectiveness of lockdown measures and the factors causing non-compliance, and relief in poorer districts had been it was possible to organize relief in poorer districts following disproportionate impact of lockdown based on the maps and the sort of findings that emerged from the map. In Israel, it was in March 2020. Israel is one among the few countries where the number of cases had been low, not very low, but had been fairly low. And the initial onset of COVID had been very slow in Israel because of a very interesting technology intervention. In Israel, it was decided to look at the call detail data, to analyze call detail data, private call detail data to track individual movements. And the 1/3 of the cases in the early weeks of the pandemic were completely analyzed based on that, approximately 5,500 out of the 16,200 cases. But in April 2020, the Supreme Court of Israel upheld principles of personal privacy and decided that call detail records cannot be used. I mean, more so similar to what had happened in the case of the sprinkler case in Kerala, even though the court did not make a judgment, but the government decided to go back on the sprinkler arrangement for reasons of privacy. Now, this is, look at the maps that had been created in Gambia. This is an administrative map which has been created during the week 3rd, March 15 to 21, and week 4th and week 5th. Basically, the green, if you can see from the, if you can see the green shades are inflow of people, and the blue shades are outflow of people, and these are across at the administrative boundaries. The national capital has been shown by the star signal, and various boundaries are also shown. This is a mechanism by which the cell phone records have been analyzed. So, as I indicated, it was possible in Gambia to channelize relief in poorer districts effectively because of this data analysis. Now let us look at how public service delivery improvement can be addressed. I am looking at a case study of Nigeria. Nigeria, the National Water Supply and Sanitation Survey was organized in 2015. Interestingly, more than 2/3 of the population did not meet standards of sanitation under the Millennium Goals, around 190. 2/3 of the population. I don't know the exact, remember the exact figure as of now. In response to these findings, the president of Nigeria declared an emergency and declared the National Action Plan for the wash sector, that is water, sanitation, and the hygiene sector. So this had been a major intervention which would possibly be extremely important in the years to come. In such interventions, timeliness, accuracy, and resolution of data are important features which are of substantial value in development, and such. Quite often in the lesser economic developed countries, such sort of high resolution data sets are quite not often available. Now, this is the map which I had been talking about Nigeria. As you could see, the dark red are 80 to 100, as you could see from the map, as you could appreciate from the map, the green spots are the areas where the black spots are almost very limited, the dark green spot. Then the lighter green spots, the dark green spots are very limited. The lighter green spots are also lesser in number. Then you have got orangish yellow, that is a 40 to 60%, and you have quite a lot of dark red spots which are 80 to 100 space, and slightly below that it is a 60 to 80 space. So it very clearly indicates the state of emergency that was required in Nigeria is very clearly established as a part of this map. It's a classic case of how public service delivery can be addressed by using a highly refined, high-resolution map of the location. Now, interestingly, I would now look at another important area from fintech. We are all aware of the sort of, credit scorings which banks use for looking at the payment of debt. But quite often, in financial inclusion itself is a challenge. And in many of the continents of basically the Latin American, African continent, there is and in the Asian continent, there is a large section of the population who don't have bank accounts also. And so Lendo, an interesting startup which is based in US, had come up with an interesting model for an alternate credit score rating. Lendo has developed an algorithm that aggregates data from social media accounts, from friends, frequency of interaction, and various interests, etc. Then messaging and browsing history, apps, Wi-Fi, network use, battery levels, etc. are also being used. And they have mapped relationship with more than 120 social media profiles on Facebook, email, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Yahoo. And using this, they have modeled the algorithm for aggregating the data from social media accounts. And they also create a trusted network of at least 3 people who can recommend this person. And if the person does not pay back the loan, the Lendo scores of their network will suffer, which will prevent them from taking loans subsequently. So this is an interesting model which has come up. This is an interesting model that has come up for alternate score ratings. In fintech, as you would appreciate, there are psychometric data and the personality analysis data, which are the backbone of this fintech model from Lendo. Similarly, the Signify is another alternate credit rating agency. This is a platform has been developed by behavioral mathematicians and data scientists who perform analysis on calling history. This is based on the Chinese mobile provider. They have tried this out in Africa using the voice, text, and data messages, and huge data sets and data mining algorithms are used for prospects of financial products based on the messaging and text and the call data. Now, there are also multiple sources of data that we can actually combine to take development decision making. We have to, so we are looking at how repurposing of data can be used for deepening the impact. Now, development problems are fairly complex, spanning economic, cultural, environmental, and demographic factors. And policy designed with one factor in mind quite often is inadequate. For instance, national poverty rates are estimated from extensive household sample surveys covering, for instance, in India, we have NSSO to capture living standards, consumption, income, and expenditure data. But of course, the samples cannot be very massive. Mapping poverty models onto census data had been the standard approach to create population maps. So this has been tried out in a variety of cases. So in some cases, CDR and remote sensing and drone imagery can be also used similar to, instead of census data for looking at data. Such data applications have a great potential in addressing development questions and taking policy decisions to reduce inequality. This is an example of how a map has been created in Croatia based on the poverty survey and also the census data for better targeting of anti-poverty programs of the EU. So using this data, it was possible that for them to target the poorer locations where the EU fund were not sufficiently being dispersed, and they could make interventions based on that. This is an interesting data case of Tanzania, where data has been generated from the poverty survey, which I had been talking about, and along with that, high resolution satellite imagery has been used to overlay to locate the extent of poverty spatially, and using this, it has been possible for them to across the 169 districts, it has been possible for us to do development interventions around this. Now I will quickly come to the next aspect, that is the civil society methods for monitoring corruption. An interesting case where civil society data has been used. This has been tried out in India by an organization called Janagraha. It's a center for citizenship and democracies, located in Bangalore. They have initiated a campaign. I paid a bribe is a campaign that they have initiated. The site has got already 15 million visits and 140,000 bribe reports covering 2,800 crores. The other day, Ayush Ministry, one undersecretary or deputy secretary has been arrested for a bribe charge. So this is a very interesting situation where a tool has been provided where the citizen reports corrupt behavior and merge this with geospatial data to highlight priority areas, and this empowers individuals, civil society, and governments to fight corrupt behavior. I would now come to another interesting crowd application, which is Safety Pin, which is one of the beautiful mobile applications which is available for safety of women and lesser empowered sections. So this is an application which can report mobility and safety issues in cities relating to lighting, walk paths, visibility, transport, and security. It was tried out in Delhi to start with to address the map. It is an Indian application. It has been tried out in Delhi to start with, later in Calcutta. It has been tried out in Hanoi. It has been tried out in Bangalore for planning bus stands. It has been tried out in Haryana for district level planning. In Colombia and Bogota, it has been used to map safety around biking paths. Biking community helped collect images along 230-kilometer bike paths, which were used using the Safety Pin application to improve lighting and closed circuit cameras. The image is so rich for the 230-kilometer of bike sites, but you can see that most of the locations have got excellent lighting. There are a few locations which have got lesser lighting. 81% of the locations have excellent lighting, whereas 15% have got poor lighting, and have good lighting, and 3% have got 3% has got good lighting, 15% have got very good lighting, and approximately 1% have got fair lightings. So this is the interesting data set that emerges from Bogota. Now, finally, I'm now closing my presentation. The data can support development through analytics, the tools that you're working. The data is across the world. It is right now compartmentalized. Number one, the government and international organizations, the private sectors and individuals, civil society and academia. This vertical is the one which we are talking about. Data analytics and processing verticals. We can use these three things together in synergy for huge possibilities. We can create the individual data for greater accountability, but at the same time, it can be misused for criminal activity and for darknet. Also, more data on individuals, if it is available for the government, and if government is trying, it can use the better policy making and service delivery, but at the same time, it can be used for political surveillance, as was done in the case of Cambridge Analytica, and has been accused by civil service activists world over in India and US for misusing such sort of data for political surveillance and for preventing political activity. And if the business data is effectively used, it can provide increased business opportunities, but at the same time, it could also lead to market concentration, widening inequality, discrimination. So the sum and substance of my presentation is that data, tools, and analysis are one part of it, but making lives of the people good and working fine is a challenge. And for that, multiple data compartments have to work together, and this is not an easy task, and we have miles to go before we do this. Thank you. I would now close my presentation right now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Rajiv, I think I would have to leave for the session, leave because I have a meeting with the minister. So please excuse me. My all best wishes for your great son. So kindly share the proceedings and details with me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.